Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on YouTube? It's Filthy and we're back with another video. Today we're looking at a Barbarian starter guide for Season 26, of course in Diablo 3, Season of the Echoing Nightmares. This document will be linked in the description. It might be a little bit of a longer video, but you can always jump around. You can look at the document yourself, but we'll go through it and we'll see how we do. So what we're going to do today, well, we're going to get you from level 1 to Endgame. We're going to take you from 0 to Hero, Beta Soy Boy to Alpha Giga Chad. That is what we're hoping to do with the tips and tricks that we've got in here. So welcome to anybody who is new to the channel. I provide Diablo 3 content. I do Diablo 2 Resurrected. I will be doing Diablo Immortal. I just love Sanctuary. If it's your first time here, welcome. The link, as I said earlier, to this document is in the description. You won't be able to edit it, but if you save yourself a copy, you will be able to change it. Maybe there's some things in here that you don't agree with. Maybe there's some things in here that, you know, I do make mistakes from time to time. You might want to alter things yourself, and any video links that we've got on the channel. So we'll go through those at the end. Will be there. And as always, guys, a like. Come on, it's super easy, barely an inconvenience for you, and it really does brighten my day. And I do love those screen rant videos. So what's new? We covered this in the faster start video. For leveling, the Echoing Nightmares mechanic doesn't do anything. It's a post 70 mechanic, so we don't actually get anything new at all whilst leveling. At 70, we've put down we get big XP for the new mode, the Echoing Nightmares. This has been nerfed. We're not really sure how much XP they're going to give. Wadijo's done a video, I think this morning maybe, indicating that he still thinks it's going to be much higher XP than running rifts, and certainly the best way to get XP, whether that's in solo or in a group. But the mode generally is wave based. It ends either when you die or when you get overwhelmed because you can't get through enough of the enemies, and you unlock the mode by getting a petrified scream. Now on PTR it was 100% chance every time you completed a greater rift you got one of these keys to do an Echoing Nightmare run, but we don't know what the drop rate is going to be on live. They have indicated it's not going to be every rift, so we'll have to sort of see how this kind of plays out. But your reward for doing an Echoing Nightmare is a big fat juicy augment gem. This can go as high as 125, provided you get to wave 125 in your Echoing Nightmare. So it's going to be quite easy to augment things out because you can have a lot of gems to do so. So that means your Barbarian will be super powered pretty early. Some important dates. The season starts on the 15th of April. You'll have to check the Blizzard blog for your local time. I think it's normally about 4 o'clock in the afternoon for myself here in Great Britain. Yeah, always nice to spend the first evening blasting. Most importantly, do not in red, do not do your challenge rift when it resets on the 11th of April. Otherwise you will be big sad if you do, because you won't get your goodie bag. The first steps, once the season is live, make sure it is live. You can create or rebirth your character. You get 3 rebirths a season. Just for those who don't know, this basically means that the character gets reset to level 1. Anything that they had on their character or in their inventory gets mailed to you via the in-game mailbox, and you've got the period of time to get it out. I want to say 30 days. It could be a little bit longer, but you know, if you're going to rebirth somebody, just make sure that you don't forget about the stuff they had on them as you blast your way through the season. You then are going to log into the season once you've created a character, just to make sure the game knows that you've made a character and it's registered. You're then going to beat the challenge rift, and you're going to use Rax or Wadijo's guide to help you do that. They will definitely have a guide up on it. If you are still stuck, sometimes there's somebody doing these awful rifts on EU. Sometimes we get absolutely shafted with the challenge rift. If it is really hard, try and group up for it. It doesn't matter if you're in a party of 1 or 4, but you might be able to go into a public game if you're struggling and get somebody to help you out. Once you've done that, you're going to equip a pet to pick stuff up for you, and you're going to put on some cosmetics to look baller. I invariably always forget these two, so worthwhile writing down. Now, On beating the challenge rift, you are going to get a goodie bag. In this, there's a bunch of materials. Now, the two-handed reroll for reduced level requirements is probably the most important thing in there. You can also craft some early weapons, two-handed axes, so level 8, 16, 21 and 29 are usually what I go for. You can put them in your inventory and then you can just kind of hot swap them in when you get to those levels. You're also going to get some DB, some Death's Breaths. This will allow you one upgrade, so one upgrade and one upgrade only in the cube. And you get some gold, quite a lot of gold, about 5 million I think, for buying vendor gear. Really, really handy. And you also get 475 blood shards to spend with that cruel-hearted bitch, Kadala, who's just out to shaft you in every which way she can. Early steps. So once we've logged in, once we beat the challenge rift and we've got a goodie bag, take the follower's weapon, or you can buy one. I normally say it's a bit douchey to steal off your friends, but you can do either if you want. I would also then hop down to a vendor and buy some life per second gear. It will just make the early levels much easier if you've got some life regen. I still like to do a boss bounty immediately, so I'll go and kill Magda or Zoltan Cool. They're quite easy to get to, they're both very fast, they're both in Act 2, and you will then get a reward chest which will have some gear in. What difficulty you want to do that is totally up to you. You can leave it on normal, you can put it on hard, you can try and go even further than that if you want. But once you've done that, you want to go and get the cube. Act 3, Ruins of Sacheron. Again, same principle applies. Kind of the highest difficulty that you feel comfortable doing. You can get a lot of XP just simply going to get the cube. It's a great place to massacre bonus level, because obviously the longer your kill streak goes outside of a rift, the more XP you get. When you get back from the cube, train up Hadrig, train up the Mystic, and that probably covers us for the early steps. And now we get onto the fun stuff, upgrading the weapon. So using the Death's Breaths out of the goodie bag, we can craft level 70 items with Hadrig because we've just trained him, and we've got two choices really. Choice number one is to go for spears, upgrade spears. Ariet's Law and the 300th spear are two of the choices. The third one is something, you know, shit out of luck. These two carry modifiers for weapon throw and for ancient spear. They have both been buffed in this patch, so I can't really test them at the moment because the old versions are rubbish compared to these two. But the third spear doesn't really have anything, so it's basically a 1 in 3 chance you're going to have really bad luck, and then a 2 out of 3 chance that you're going to get a modifier. How great those modifiers are, how good they are for leveling, as I say, personally I haven't tested them. I probably will do that once the patch goes live, but they do pair with Raekor very well because Raekor revolves around these two weapons, so you will be getting yourself a little bit of a head start on a weapon as well. The other choice is going to be a two-handed mighty weapon. This is normally the recommended route prior to having those spears upgraded. You've got, I'd say, 3 decent ones. So the Blade of Tribes, which gives Earthquake. So whenever you Threatening Shout or use Warcry, I think, you get earthquakes, avalanches, that type of thing. Probably pretty decent. I've never actually leveled with that one, so I can't speak from personal experience. Gavel of Judgment, I've put this one in yellow because this would be my number one pick if I could hand pick anything, simply because this is a Hammer of the Ancients weapon and it basically restores fury, and resource problems can be a little bit annoying when you're leveling, so that would be my number one pick if I got to choose. And also in the pool you've got the Fury of the Vanished Peak, which is the one that mighty weapon that goes with Seismic Slam. You've got a 57% chance of being totally shit out of luck, and by that, I mean you're going to get one of the 4 other mighty weapons that do nothing for you. Pros and cons, which to go for. I'll be honest, guys, I'm not entirely sure. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments on this. In the comments, spears, the advantages I see are you've got a much higher chance of success. You know, you're cutting your risk of being empty-handed down by half. But bear in mind that weapon throw and ancient spear are like later on in the barb skill pool. You know, you can't use them immediately. I think one of them's like in the high 20s. Upside, yeah, we get to use them with Raekor. That's the starting set this season. But the two-handed mighty weapon, the real main pro of that, I think, is that you can maybe pair it with braces when we get onto the blood shards. Now, obviously, you can extract these into the cube, and that's what you're going to do. You just need to check any of these upgrades that you make. Just do check them for reduced level requirement. You can have that roll natively on them. So you might get yourself an ancient one with like 40 level requirements, in which case go out, buy a lottery ticket. It's definitely your lucky day. Blood shards, again, contained in the goodie bag. Braces, obviously only do this if you're going for the two-handed MACE weapon. There's an argument to do it anyway, because the braces on their own are pretty good modifiers, and before they updated the Challenge Rift cash bag, this is how we used to do it back in the day. So you can get the destruction braces, braces of destruction, which go with seismic slam. If you spend all 475 blood shards, there is a 62% chance you'll hit this, so more likely than not, but still not like anywhere near a guarantee. Braces of the First Men, which works with Hammer of the Ancients, 62% chance again. Now, if you're not asked which one of them you hit, it's 86.5, because, like, think about it, if you're rolling Braces of the First Men, that's what you want to hit. Well, you might hit a Braces of Destruction on the way. So again, spending your blood shards all on braces, there is a 13.5% chance you're going to be shit out of luck and not get anything, but definitely a good place to spend your blood shards. Some other things to consider. Let's say we go with the spear and you decide, oh, I don't need the braces, I'm gonna risk it. Band of Might, you will actually have a 61% chance of getting this, pretty high I think. It gives 80% damage reduction, so you're going to be really tanky as you level, particularly if you're going for the cursed chests. I think that potentially can be a bit of a boon. It is difficult sometimes to do the curse leveling, so extra toughness would be handy. The Oryx Crown, you get more XP, it doubles the effect of the gem in it, so you have to find yourself a ruby, but then when you do and pop it in, you get double the XP. Generally a very common drop in the game, because there's generally only this helm in the pool for quite a while. Something a lot of people swear by is Poxfolds. These are the stinky gas trousers or whatever you want to call them. They will help with masker bonusing, so again, it's certainly a good shout, and loot socks as well. Help with mobility, you can cast leap multiple times before the cooldown goes. So, you know, there's some things to do or consider. Now, the most important thing when leveling up to 70 is definitely a two-handed weapon reroll. Now, I've put Mace. Mace seems to have the highest damage range. Whenever I make these videos and say, maybe we should do a two-handed axe, most people say, but, well, you might want to do a Mace because it does more damage. So we'll go with Mace this time, but it does work the same with an axe. Basically, what you're doing is you're going to Hadrig, you've trained him, you've got your goodie bag, you're creating a two-handed weapon, you're looking for crowd control on the secondary property. An ideal is that it's got that, so the CC, and it's got life per hit. You then re-roll the other secondary, so you re-roll the one that isn't the crowd control, and it will give you a limited pool of options, generally only about 3 or 4, and one of those options is reduced level requirement, and you're looking really, I think, to hit anything over about 20 is what I look to keep. So I'm happy if I've got something over 20. I'm grumpy if I've got something underneath it. Need to be careful. I should have highlighted this in red. Just don't run out of resources. Very easy to go over on the gold. If you just sit there re-rolling, you can run out of gold very quickly. And by the same token, don't craft like 6 of these things trying to look for one that's perfect with life per hit and CC, because they do take quite a lot of veiled crystals, so the yellow resources. So you just kind of have to balance that. You know, do a few re-rolls, consider crafting another one, and then obviously, you know, as you progress through the game and your leveling experience, you will get some more materials as you go. Here's a bit of an example. So this would be a shit one. So you can see here on the secondary, we've got life after kill and monster XP, so we've got no crowd control. So if we re-rolled this one, it wouldn't be good. There'd be a whole list of things that could go in there. This one is probably much more likely what you're going to get, which has got a crowd control on the secondary. For this instance, it's immobilize, so you would not pick this one. You would re-roll the monster kills grant plus experience, and that will give you the limited pool. And then here we go, one is absolutely perfect. Wouldn't you know it, on my first roll, literally the first re-roll I did, I got 30 level reduced requirement, which is the max, so rip my season. But it's got life per hit on it. I like vitality because it makes you really tanky when you use this at like level 40, but this would be ideal. It's got crowd control, life per hit, and then you're re-rolling over 20 on the level requirements. And this is by far the most important thing. There's no guarantee with this. It is possible to not get this to work. You might run out of mats, you might get bad RNG, but if you do hit it, it is definitely the best thing. Now, in terms of leveling your Barbarian up to 70, there are a few areas and a few different strategies. Halls of Agony is somewhere to start off early because the monsters are very slow and don't do much damage, so your earlier levels, you might want to go here. Fields of Misery is a bit more challenging. You've got the spear chuckers, but you can get quite a nice massacre bonus just doing a big loop around that. Again, that's kind of what we used to do before people realised that you could do Curse Chest levelling in the Temple of the Firstborn in Act 2. So that's in yellow because that is probably the gold standard of levelling. Also, I think doing Act 3 Rune of Session runs can be worth it, but I would only do them if they've got the Cursed Chest event on there, because the Cursed Chest is in the second level there's lots and lots of enemies, little flies, the maggot brood things, so you can get a really big massacre bonus, and then you get the Cursed Chest at the end if it's on the bounty, and that will be tremendous for you. It's a really good run. So if you do think on, and you do fancy a bit of a break from the Temple of the First one, because it can get a little boring doing the same area over and over again, Sacheron is a good place to consider. If, let's say, you just want to YOLO it, you can do Rifts. Definitely less boring, but it is a little bit slower because you don't get any massacre bonus inside a Rift. Upside to it is you're likely to have better gear at the end because the drop rates are higher in Rift, so you're much more likely to find those shiny legendaries. But honestly, Temple of the Firstborn, I think it's the way I've leveled, I think, for like the last 3 or 4 seasons, and I don't see it being any different this season, but there are some areas for you to consider. In terms of leveling tips, I've put this in red because I do think it is important. Do this at the highest difficulty that is comfortable for you. If dying really cheeses you off, knock the difficulty down. If you're not killing things quickly enough, knock the difficulty down. There's a bit of a balance here because obviously you're looking to keep your massacre bonuses up. So, if you're one-shotting everything, actually it's harder to keep that up. But if you're doing way too much damage, that's a problem. And certainly if you're not doing enough damage, you're going to be too slow and too inefficient. Some really basic beginner tips. Red gem in the helm, that's a ruby, it gives XP. Red gem in the weapon for the deeps, so extra damage. Transmog anything crafted to avoid auto salvaging, so those axes that we made at the start, you might want to transmog them just so that you can't accidentally auto salvage them. I don't think that works on Switch. Maybe someone could correct me if I'm wrong. Also, don't be afraid to buy amulets. Well, in fact, not don't be afraid. Specifically look for rings and amulets with plus damage on early. So kind of about level 11, 12. You really start going out your way to make sure you're checking the vendors in town to get your extra damage. It makes a big difference early on. As for Cursed Chest leveling tips, this is the way I do it. It's probably not the most efficient. I'm sure if Debuti was watching, who is king of leveling, he'd tell me off. But I like to explore the entire zone. The reason for this is there are plenty of resplendent chests about. Got a fairly high spawn rate, so it's always nice to open it up, get some gear. In general, damage over time skills are very nice. Range skills are very nice. They'll make this process easier. AoE skills make it easier because obviously the more you can hit over a bigger area and the more you can keep things under dots, just the easier this is. I've put in red again. This is something I forget. After you've done a Cursed Chest run in the Temple of the Firstborn, check the vendors when you come back. All the stuff in there is really cheap for gold. You can get some good gear. You can get yourself, extra toughness, extra damage, and it's worthwhile doing. It only takes a few seconds. You can buy yourself some pretty good stuff. If, let's say, you do find your gear is falling behind, you can always take a little break from the Cursed Chests and go into another boss bounty like we did at the start, and that might offer you a bit of a gear boost. I've never actually done that, but again, it is something you can do. Barbarian skill leveling, this is really, really tricky. It totally depends on what you're going to get out of your upgrades, your blood shard rolls, so obviously you're going to have to play that a little bit by ear. It also depends what you find, but in general, Rend is a good damage over time effect, so if you are looking to do the dot with the barb, then that is a pretty good shout. Leap is nice because it gives you some mobility, but also it gives you some defense. You get the Iron Impact rune, I think, fairly early. Ground Stomp, similarly, again, nice defense. You know, you can stun, you can group, so that's a pretty good skill. And same for Furious Charge, bit of mobility, bit of defense. Weapon throws obviously ranged. If you're using one of the spears that you picked up earlier, that could be good. But in general, Barb, I don't think has anything like, you know, like Chakram for DH that is clearly a best in slot, or Hammers for the Crusader. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. What skills would you be using past your modifiers, I guess? Now, when we get to 70, we're going to get the Raekor set. Obviously, you're going to have to do the season journey to get this, but it has been buffed for this new season and patch. Very quickly, the bonuses. 2-piece Furious Charge refunds if you hit only one enemy. I think that's kind of crap. Not really going to help you out very much. 4-piece Furious Charge gets all runes. Deals 1000% more damage. Bit of damage is nice. Increase Ancient Spear damage depending on missing life. I think this is kind of a meh 4-piece. It will be handy, don't get me wrong. You'll notice the 4-piece when you put it on, but it's not like God tier or anything like that. And then the 6-piece, when you hit with Furious Charge, you build up stacks, and that gives you big Ancient Spear damage. You know, and obviously it is an A tier build, as we showed in the recent video. Pretty good for speed farming. Yeah, it's a fun set to play now. I think it was probably one of the worst in the game, but it has been buffed up. Some initial tips: when you get 270, the Sages set is now craftable. This has been here for, well, I don't know, a few seasons now. It offers a nice stat boost to its plus 250 to a bunch of stats, and it also gives you double the amount of DBs, Death Breaths, great for upgrading. But in general, you obviously just want to complete your season journey as soon as possible. But do remember, I've used this a couple of times in the last few seasons. You can convert set items in the cube. So let's say you're doing your season journey, you've got yourself 4 pieces of Raekor. Well, if you're so lucky and you happen to find just 2 random Raekor pieces, even if you've already got the exact same ones, you can convert them in a cube and make your 6-piece bonus up without even having to, you know, to finish your season journey, which obviously would just be amazing. Another good tip, I highlighted this in red because, again, I don't think enough people use this in the season. If you've got the character space, you can make yourself a new level 1 Barbarian. You can roll blood shards for Gold Wrap, Band of Mice, anything we covered at the start, really. The level 1 items obviously aren't going to do your level 70 character much use, but you can extract them in the cube, and the game doesn't care if you extract a level 1 gold wrap or a level 70, counts all the same. So really, the best thing here, I think, is the Band of Mice that you can grab. Now, looking at the upgrades, so this is the DBs. Crafting yourself a level 70 item, upgrading it in the cube. Raekor's modifiers are the 300th spear, funnily enough, which is a spear, Ariad's Law, which is also a spear, and then Skular's Salvation, which is braces. So these are the 3 things I'd be looking to upgrade. Spears until I've got these 2, and then move on to braces because you may as well pick up the extra modifier. Some more upgrades. Rings and amulets are obviously very nice. They're kind of hard to find, hard to roll blood shards because they cost twice as much as other items for rings, and 3 times as much for other items for amulets, obviously excluding weapons. But the kind of stuff you're looking for is a Convention of Elements for more damage, a Band of Might for some more toughness, Stone of Jordan would be great for a bit more damage, one of my favourite items in the game, and a Squirts. You know, we tend to use Squirts with Raekor, so again, you can pick yourself up one of those. In terms of extra weapons to upgrade, Messerschmitt's Reaver is what I was using in my Raekor speed video. This is a 2-handed axe. It gives quite a lot of cooldown, 1 second off a skill at random when you do a kill, which is pretty good. And then we've got the Bulkathos Blades and Ambo's Pride, which are mighty weapons. Now, obviously, you don't use those at all with Raekor, but I think you're probably going to want to use Whirlwind for keys and for bounties. So I would be spending upgrades on those once I've got, you know, kind of this other stuff. And then lastly, if I haven't picked up a pair of Mortix Brace, which give every rune on Wrath of the Berserker, I'm then going to move on and do those. And in addition to our upgrades, we also want to be considering where we're going to spend our blood shards, and I'd probably kind of do them in this order. Braces first, because we are looking to get the Skulars, you know, if we don't get them in an upgrade. Mortix Brace is always handy as a barb as well. There are other braces like Nemesis Braces, Warzeki and Arm Guards, You know, there's quite a few things that you can do. Whirlwind pieces I'd also be looking to pick up, because we are going to transition to that for bounties and for keys. Pants are the easiest to get. There are the fewest pants in loot pool out of all the items, so therefore if you're going to get any legendary pants at random, Whirlwind will be one of those options. So there's not that many options, it's just easier to get Whirlwind pieces. Convert them into cube once you've got 6 Whirlwind pieces, and you should be good to go. You'll also need a Lamentation belt to set up Whirlwind, so again, you could always roll for that. I probably would do rings before the Whirlwind pieces, so I'd be looking to get the damaging modifiers for Raekor, so COE, SOJ, Band of Might. You might hit Zodiac, which goes with Whirlwind as well, but that's kind of where I'd be spending my blood shards. We've also got a shopping list for the rest of the stuff that you're going to need for the season, kind of early on, like things you want to think about. Crimson's plans are going to be handy. We're going to use those for the Raekor speed build. You can use them for Whirlwind early on, just a really good solid set. A Ring of Raw Grandeur is always going to be handy. It allows you a lot more flexibility when building, because you can take one less set piece. Both of those two things are going to come from bounties, so I probably would wait until I had Whirlwind set up before I went off and did these, just because I think Whirlwind's going to be a much better bounty build than Raekor, but you can do it with Raekor. Raikor's certainly got the power. You're obviously going to need to fill out your legendary gem roster, so get doing those Greater Rifts. You're looking for Powerful, Trapped, Zais, maybe some of the Whirlwind ones like a Taeguk, you know, just your legendary gems basically. A gold wrap is always going to be quite handy to get. Obviously it pairs with the Boon of the Hoarder, because you can put the Boon of the Hoarder in a cube to open Greed's Realm. Boon of the Hoarder? Puzzle Ring in the cube to open the Greed's Realm to get the Boon of the Hoarder, which in combination with gold wrap makes you immortal. As we say, any missing Whirlwind items that you need, and also, you know, do a Z-Barb. Make a Z-Barb if you can. It's absolutely great XP. Right, I think that probably covers everything that you need to know. You should be kind of around about at Endgame now, so you should have yourself a T16 build, whether that's Raekor, whether that's Whirlwind. You should be able to do bounties. You should be smashing the Echoing Nightmares. Maybe you got yourself a Z-Barb set up, and now it's just a case of building up those gems, building up the legendary items to Ancients, getting the Ancients augments, and, you know, fingers crossed, you're gonna have primals and all that good stuff. In the video description, we've got the Raekor Speed GR guide. I don't really see anything changing from PTR to live for that. The Whirlwind T16 guide and the Whirlwind Bounty Blaster guide that we've just done. Complete refresher, nothing's changed with those builds this season, but if you fancy a refresher course for season 26, links in the description. And coming soon is a Raekor T16 starter guide. I just didn't get time to do that on PTR, and I was a little nervous about doing it because I thought they'll probably change some stuff to live, so we'll get that done maybe Tuesday, Wednesday after the patch comes out. Thank you to you guys. Obviously I make these videos for you, so any feedback is welcome. You know, was this format better than the normal starting guides? Is it worse? Would you like to go back to the other one where I'm kind of in game and showing you what to do? Future videos, what's next? Do you want another one of these for Demon Hunter? Do you want it for Monk? Do you want, you know, what do you want basically is what I'm saying. And as always guys, like, subscribe, and super thanks. Any financial support is greatly appreciated, does help me make more of these videos. But yeah, good luck in season 26. I hope you get what you want out of your challenger spending and your primals and all that stuff. I've been the Filthy Casual. Take it easy guys, peace.